research has shown that when the weather is extremely hot, number of instances where drivers have passed a single danger actually increase. Oh my god, I just did it to myself. Dang it. Welcome back, everybody. We are back in it with Great Western Express for Train Sim World, where we are driving the 4L58 Bristol Terminal to Felixstowe North Intermodal. 43 minutes supposedly it takes. Platinum metal is 8,000 AP. As you can see by this here, it says we got a lot of wetness and snow happening out there. Let's get right into it. Alright folks, we are in our engine and we've got a couple things just set up in here. Some curious reason, somebody decided to leave the parking brake off for some reason, and for also some curious reason the direct brake got left on, so it got left off. So we're going to just turn that on for our own safety. Turn on our cab lights. Somebody please tell me where the desk light is, because I've not been able to figure out where that desk light is actually beaming from inside this cab. Next up, we want to turn on instrument lights so we can see. We don't need to worry about their tail lights. Our headlights are already set up on day mode, and the reason it's set up on day mode, if we kind of see where we're going here, we're just going to follow the outside line of the track. Why are we doing that? Because we are traveling to Maidenhead Platform 4 for via location, West Drayton location. Oh my god. We're driving to West Drayton to a via location. My brain's going faster than my mouth. Good job. And then we're going to stop at Acton Yard for our final destination. Next, we're going to turn on Demeister just to kind of keep the windscreens a little bit toasty, I guess you can say. The brake test, if we turn on brake test there and we check our brakes, we can kind of see our brakes does do the job they're supposed to. But in my opinion, I don't think that brake test button actually does what it's supposed to do as intended. So we're just going to go ahead and turn the brakes off because we don't actually need them for the moment. We're also going to put brake test back onto service mode, and we're going to jump into the second man seat. In the second man seat, where we can easily see we have fresh air coming in from the chilly air outside. We can turn on some high speed if we would like, and we can also turn on our heater speed, which I think at this point heater speed should be high. Overheating, let's just go ahead and turn on overheating. Why not? We'll turn high speed back off, and the wipers, we're just going to put about 50% on both sides, so that way we got a little wipers going. Whatever this hot plate is, somebody please tell me what the hot plate is. I'm assuming it's probably this to warm up my tea. Maybe it's the thing to kind of keep my tea nice and toasty. Who knows? Back in the engineer seat, we're going to go ahead and turn off that parking brake because we don't need it. We're going to put the reverser on forward, and we're going to put our throttle up to 3. And before we officially continue to take off, we might as well pop open the fuse cabinet, turn on DSD isolate to unisolated from isolated, and then also turn on the AWS TPWS, also known as 24 volt supply fuse. Turn that on, press the annoying button to get that annoying sound to go away. So let's go ahead and press Q and release our direct brake, and off we are on a roll. Let's move out, train. Let's go, Class 66. The Red Death is finally on its way to Maidenhead. With the weather being snowy / rainy / very wet, and the rails being wet, something to keep in mind, let's look on the outside for a second. We've got a series of rail cars here sitting here in Reading. Welcome to Reading, folks, in case you wanted to know where we were. So it becomes very important to not really overspeed as we go along. But if I try to overspeed, as you can see with my wheels here, let's just go ahead and go to throttle 4, throttle 5. It should happen in throttle 5. This is where I'm going to start to get my wheel slip problem. Actually, my train is speeding up despite the wheel slip, so I'm just going to leave it alone here. And you can see the little icon pop up saying anytime I wheel slip, this light will turn on for me. I could put a little sand, but what's the use of sand on road like this? It's technically to hold my wheels down onto the rails, and ironically, if I just give it enough time, my train will speed up and stop slipping anyways. If I just keep this on throttle 5, our goal is actually to reach throttle 8 and try to make this go at throttle 8. However, keep in mind your max speed. You can only go 75 miles an hour with this particular engine. If you overspeed that, you're going to eventually ruin the engine at some point, and it won't just be a red death anymore for the rail line going down the route. The other thing with these Class 66s, at least driving the missions associated with the Class 66s, my experience so far has been the Q button for the alerter doesn't always turn on like it's supposed to, and I've been finding that's been very odd. So sometimes the the thing will light up here in the corner bottom right, and I won't see it because it doesn't make a tone. So I'm not exactly sure if that was meant to be a bug or if that was meant to be reality, where the light turned on and you're supposed to acknowledge it, but you don't hear the familiar beep annoying sound that we normally have, right? The nice thing about our itinerary, if you notice that there is no time limit on this, and I love the fact that there's no time limit. You can see I'm trying to bump up throttle 8 there. So we can take as long as we need to go to Maidenhead and West Drayton, and then from there we just go to Acton Yard. I'm probably gonna have to bump this back down to throttle 7. We're just gonna try to push through it. I'm just gonna try to push through it. We're just gonna hope for the best, cross my fingers, and like hold my hands up like nothing's happening, right? In continental Europe, I believe I said this in the last episode, but I can't remember right off the top of my head because it's been a little while since I recorded that episode. The Class 66 design has been introduced to continental Europe, and it's currently certified in Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, France, and Poland. Certification is pending in the Czech Republic and in Italy. By now, who knows, that it's possible that the Class 66 is now available on those two countries, and we'll have to kind of play it off and see. In the meantime, there is an example of that DSD isolate button where it turned on and you don't hear the loud tone, and I don't quite understand why that is. So you do have to really keep an eye out for that thing when it starts to shriek at you, or more specifically, starts to visually show up and not do anything. In Europe, EMD decided to rebrand the locomotives as a Series 66, partly because of the shed being so well known in the UK that they had to differentiate the shed as not being a UK driven engine. It needed to be an engine that was for the individual countries that it was. However, with that said, by 2011, due to increase in rail traffic in the UK, but as well as the 2008 global crisis at the time, EMD started to have issues sourcing components for the Class 66. And what that meant is they couldn't get things like castings or casings. No, it's actually castings. They couldn't get the castings available, and such they decided to discontinue the Class 66. Therefore, the last of the Class 66 were produced in London, not this London, but London, Ontario at the plant there. And after the introduction of new EU crash and emission regulation, this eventually culminated in the end of the Class 66. So the Red Death, coming into the UK, shoving out all the other locomotives, also experienced its own Red Death and shut itself down. Ironically, due to European freight volume dropping since 2012, a number of the EMD Series 66s ended up being re-imported back to the UK instead of sold to European customers, so to speak. What happened was the imported train ended up getting renumbered. GB Rail Freight bought 3 ex-Dutch locos in 2012. They bought 2 ex-German rails in 2013, and they also bought 3 ex-Swedish locomotives in 2019. All of these locomotives had their numbering renumbered. So for example, the Dutch locos were DE6316, etc., and it got renumbered to 66747. In addition to buying off locomotives from other people, GB Rail Freight also ordered another set of locomotives in 2013. Kind of keep in mind the production itself was 2011, that's when the last of the Class 66s got made. I noticed I'm speeding there. Let me just kind of drop off there my throttle and kind of hope my train is good enough to slow myself down. We'll probably have to put some throttle back because I don't want to slow down too badly. So GB Rail Freight picked up an order of 8 more Class 66s/7 locomotives, and I'll get to the subtypes in a little bit. The first of the classes to be built at EMD's Muncie, Indiana plant. In other words, the Class 66s were actually being designed in America, folks. Who knew? GB Rail Freight ordered another 13 locomotives, and of these, the 21 locomotives are numbered 66752 all the way to 66772. These particular locomotives ended up getting shipped out of America and arriving at Newport Docks in July of 2014. And number 66752 was actually named the Hoosier State, a nickname for Indiana. It was kind of nice that they made that little American reference there. So yes, now there's American logos in the UK. Who knows that you may actually be one day driving a Class 66 from America. Another 7 locomotives were then added to the fleet utilizing 6 power units that had already been in the UK, plus one of them that was recovered from the previously scrapped 66734, and the presence of these units in the UK circumvented the European emission compliance regulation and allowed them to be exported to EMD Muncie for installation in further Class 66 body shell. So what happened here, folks, if you didn't catch what I just said there, these locomotives were picked up in the UK, shipped to America, essentially installed into new locomotives, and then shipped right back to the UK. So some of these locomotives are refurbished. That's right, folks. How did they get away with that? The issue is the regulation kept getting more and more strict. And because of these regulations, for emission regulation that is, 66779 was the last of the Class 66s ever to be built. However, the Class 66s do meet something called Stage 3A of the regulations. They do not meet something called Stage 3B. And as a result of this, Stage 3B needed additional exhaust treatment equipment that could not be easily installed within the UK's loading gauges, so to speak. And the same restrictions applied to the Class 68 and the Class 70. Therefore, the way they're getting away with this issue of taking some Class 66s already here, shipping them back to America and bringing them back, is these restrictions do not apply to second-hand / refurbished locomotives, provided that they're imported from within the European Union, which is interesting, now that I said that right, that they sent some to America and sent them back. As long as they're imported from the European Union, they can do this. And the whole point of this is to put a cap on the total number of non-compliant locomotives within the EU. And with the UK officially out of the EU, I bet you they can put more of it together from the Indiana plant than they used to be able to do when they were part of the EU. This could have been one of the reasons for Brexit, who knows. Alright folks, I do have to... Oh my god. Why did that alerter come up whenever I want to say something? That's crazy. Anyway, don't worry folks. What I wanted to say here is I really appreciate all of the new subscribers. I love the fact that you all came on board to watch these videos. Sometimes I don't always know what I'm talking about. I get it. You know, and sometimes I do know what I'm talking about. And especially since I'm not from the UK, right? I don't know everything about UK freight. But I like doing my homework around things. Just kind of looking at things. But again, I'm not perfect. And the fact that you guys are willing to support me on this endeavor and just kind of go on a rail trip with me, go take the trip down and just kind of enjoy the Class 66, the Red Death coming through town, and just, you know, doing stuff together. This has been great. So as usual, definitely like and subscribe and leave me comments. I do appreciate these. I do read pretty much every comment I can get my hands on. What I enjoy a lot is seeing that you guys enjoy these videos and want to see more things like this or something pretty similar. It's been a fun journey, honestly. We're coming up on Maidenhead Platform 4. I bet you there's going to be a bunch of people standing on the yellow line, so we're going to go ahead and give them a little beep ahead of time. Why does my horn not work? Because I can't hit the N button. I'm hitting the M button of all things. So we're just going to let people know we're out here and we're rolling on through, because we have terrible visibility, and it's just might as well give a few more horn shouts to folks out there. And let's go ahead and just zoom in on the loco and see what we're looking at there. Yep, there is somebody already. She just walked onto that yellow line there, lady. Why would you do it to me? Why would you do that? Off the line. I'm not exactly sure if these things are accurate. Somebody will have to correct me if I'm wrong on any of this stuff. So like I said, I do appreciate you guys' comments, because sometimes it does help me figure out what I'm looking at when I'm looking at stuff. There are current operators of the Class 66, and according to what I'm looking at right now, these are the current operators. Something called Colas Rail. Colas Rail took over for the ex-Avanta Cement Flow after that company went bust. Initially, they used 5 of the former Avanta freight and direct rail service locomotives, but then those locomotives have essentially got renumbered. So it went from 66406 to the other numbers, and then got renumbered to 66841, which is interesting. And then as part of the deal with GB Rail Freight, Colas Rail replaced them with another 5 ex-Freightliners, 66573s, all the way to the other number, which were then renumbered also. And those 5 ex-direct rail service Class 66s were then transferred to GB Rail Freight and renumbered once again to finally being 66742 all the way to 746. Hello folks, we're coming through with my camera. Wow, that was a bunch of fun right there. I love that. I don't have to move the camera. It's already going to do it for me. What I don't know is, does Colas Rail even still have Class 66s, or do they belong to GB Rail Freight? It feels like they belong to GB Rail Freight. Someone can have to tell me. DB Cargo UK is the other one. DB Cargo UK bought out EWS. That is the England, Wales, and Scotland Rail, I believe, if I said that right. Their Class 66 fleet includes 4 locomotives capable of banking heavy trains over the Lickey Incline. Where is the Lickey Incline? Someone please tell me. Of these specific locomotives, the knuckle coupler has been modified to allow remote releasing from inside the cab while in motion. How lucky they can do something like the hump yard. That'd be so much fun. It also includes 15 locomotives fitted with something called RETB signaling equipment for working in northern Scotland and any of the RETB branch lines associated with that. A few of the DB Cargo UK Class 66s are now essentially working in Europe as part of DB Cargo France and DB Cargo Polska. Wait, I'm saying that wrong. DB Cargo Polska. There it goes. Another company, Direct Rail Services. Direct Rail was at the time a subsidiary of British Nuclear Fuels. I probably should blow that horn for a second there. I love the camera angle, how it changes for me. This is so fantastic. But let's go ahead and get closer to my engine and hope nothing changes anything there for a second. Direct Rail Services was at the time a subsidiary of British Nuclear Fuels, ordered 10 Class 66/4 locomotives, another subclass. They ordered these in 2002, employed on the Anglo-Scottish traffic with Sobart Rail. In 2006, 10 more of these T2 specification units were delivered, and another 10 were delivered in 2007 and 4 more in 2008. After the first 20 Class 66s operated by DRS were eventually transferred to Freightliner and GB Rail Freight, this left them with just 14 in their fleet, DRS eventually leased out the remaining 5 former Fastline freight locomotives, which is very interesting because they, I believe, are still operating Class 66s where COLAs may not be. Freightliner followed EWS by initially ordering 5 of the Class 66/5 locomotives and continued to order these in small batches. As of 2020, the Class 66/5 fleet had reached 89 of these engines, but 66521 was eventually withdrawn after the 2001 crash at Great Heck and eventually scrapped. In 2000, new Class 66/6 subclass was built with a lower gear ratio enabling heavier trains to be hauled, although at slower speed. There's presently 25 examples of this class, and some of these locomotives have since been exported for use within the Freightliner Poland. During 2004, the company took delivery of the most recent Class 66/9 subclass of the locomotives, which are a low-emission variant of the other version. At this point, Freightliner now has all low-emission T2 type vehicles. 7 of these locomotives actually are numbered between 66951 all the way to 957, and by 2011, Freightliner eventually took on Direct Rail Services, or DRS's, other Class 66s, as I mentioned earlier. GB Rail Freight initially leased 17 of the Class 66/7 locomotives before increasing their fleet to about 32. During 2006, they ordered 5 more low-emission locomotives, and those got liveried for use on the Metronet Transport for London contract. A further order of 5 additional locomotives were delivered in 2007, with another 5 in 2008. The numberings of 66733 to 746 are all formed from the Class 66 of Direct Rail Services, Freightliner, and Colas Rail. This is why I'm not sure if those 3 companies are actually still operating Class 66s. It's kind of hard to tell. There is one Class 66 that's not the Red Death. It's actually a rainbow. In 2011, number 66720 was painted in a rainbow livery color, while in 2012, 66734 ended up derailing at Lostreg and ended up cut up on site. They actually tore that one apart on site and scrapped up. The final 7 Class 66s to be built for the British market ended up coming in 2016. Let's blow the horn and get these people off the road there. You can see that lady there is doing that on her phone, walking on the line. She's totally going to fall through, man. The final 7 Class 66s to be built for the British market space ended up arriving on 2016 aboard the cargo ship Happy Dragon at Newport Dock and consisted of the number 66773 all the way to 779. Eventually, they were towed by 66708 north to Doncaster Roberts Road Depot, where they were eventually commissioned and put to work. The final Red Death is number 66779, remained under a tarpaulin until 2016, when it was revealed that the NRM York with a special livery and nameplate to commemorate the fact that it is the final Class 66 ever built for the British market. It had been painted BR lime green and named the Evening Star in reference to the BR Standard Class 9F 92220 Evening Star, which was also consequently the last BR steam locomotive ever to be built. It was unveiled in a special ceremony inside the Great Hall at the National Railway Museum in York in 2016, and it stayed there opposite its namesake number 92220 for at least 2 weeks. At that same ceremony, the CEO of GB Rail Freight handed the curator of the National Railway Museum a document offering 66779 to the National Collection when it's officially retired in about 40 years, so we'll have to see. It's probably like 30 years by now for all I know. And at some point, you folks will be able to see the very last Class 66 in the museum. Not anytime soon, but once it's done operating and doing its job. So hopping back into the platform, or actually hopping back into the cab, folks. We are coming up on West Drayton. We're about 800 yards out. All we have to do here is just go via location right on through West Drayton, and we're going to pop out from there. And then our final stop is Acton Yard. Acton Yard should be not too far away from West Drayton. If you notice my speed, I'm not really too concerned if I'm about hitting 60 miles an hour. I'm just kind of coasting along. It's snowing, folks. We don't need to screw up this train. We don't need to crash or nothing like that. So let's go ahead and roll through the via location and let's see what it tells us about how far away Acton Yard is. We do have to honk our horn though, because everybody's on the yellow line in this station. Everybody is. We still have to get 8,000 AP points. We have 6,170. That scares me a whole lot how we don't have enough AP yet. Just outside of West Drayton, there's a lot of AWSs you're going to have to kind of deal with because there are some slow zone coming up. And we do have to keep in mind what the singles say. We just passed the yellow light. We've got a double yellow coming up pretty soon. I think that's a double yellow. I can't see it. It is a double yellow. Okay, I was right. And then you can see there's another yellow light coming up as well. So we're going to have to get our train slowed down anyways because we're coming up on Acton Yard. Actually, in fact, we have a red light coming up ahead. So let's go ahead and throttle down, and we're going to kind of hope for our best. There were two former operators, Aventa Freight and Fastline. Both of these ended up getting shut down. Aventa Freight ceased operations in 2009, and their Class 66s got sent to storage. We got another red light up ahead, and I think what it is, there is a networker turbo or something like that ahead of us. Fastline operated intermodal services between Doncaster and Birmingham International Rail Freight Terminal and Thamesport in North Kent. They actually used refurbished Class 56 locomotives, but eventually picked up to Class 66 to operate a coal flow from Hatfield Colliery, which were eventually delivered in 2008. We'll just blow our horn real quick. Nobody's on the thing, so everything's okay there. Following the demise of Jarvis, yes, probably that same Jarvis in 2010 of Iron Man, right, getting destroyed. Fastline went into administration in 2010, and these locomotives were all placed into storage. In 2011, DRS repainted the 5X Fastline locomotives and added them to their own fleet, keeping their original numbers. Yeah, one of the things about the Class 66s here, folks, is typically the engineers will say these 66s don't have the best working environment. Number one, they don't have the best seats. I mean, seriously, let's look at the seat here. It is not posh. It doesn't look like the Class 166. It doesn't look like the HST. I mean, who wants to sit in these terrible, terrible seats? I personally think they look comfortable. They feel comfortable. Obviously, I'm sitting in one, right? I'm sitting in a chair. It feels good. So I can't complain. However, they complain the locomotives are unfit and unsafe to work in. One of the issues is excessive heat, high noise level, and poor seating. Because of this, in 2007, the British Train Drivers Union actually proposed a ban on their members driving these locomotives during the 2007 summer, which is kind of crazy. And in 2006, research has shown that when the weather is extremely hot, number of instances where drivers had passed a single danger actually increased. Oh my god, I just did it to myself. Dang it. Alrighty folks, I am back. Not really. I am forward from the future. This is Coy from what feels like a week or two down the road after I rage quitted, horribly so. I'm going to show you why in a few minutes actually, because we are about 8.1 miles outside of Acton Yard, and the one key thing I completely forgot, if you notice what's going on here and how far away we are from Acton Yard and all the fact that we have yellow singles up ahead, you can see them on the track monitor, and a red. It is time for us to slow down, and the part that I failed miserably to do, I didn't actually slow down like I probably should have. So despite the fact that it said 85 miles an hour, I needed to slow down way more than this. And one of the issues I've already got is major wheel slip trying to slow my train down. I don't need to slow down completely to 0, but I've already done it. Yay, good job me. This is one of the challenges I had, and it actually had nothing to do with this at all. It was the fact that I passed the single at danger of all things I could have done, people, of all things I could have done. Oh my god, I actually was the one who had done it. Wow. So fortunately for me, by rage quitting and just leaving the game for a few weeks, I have come back to this not remembering anything I recorded before, so I was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep the previous recording because I really like what I did there, and I didn't want to mess anything up, and I didn't want to have to just re-record the entire thing and delete the other one just to pass the single at danger again. And as you can see, the light has turned from red to yellow at least. And what I ended up doing here was I was just literally talking about how there has been more incidences of passing the single at danger only to do it myself. Good job. And it was all because of these darn acknowledgements, and I was talking to you guys, I was like, wow, what in the world? Folks, the point of that wonderful AWS annoying sound is the fact that it's telling you, hey driver, wake up, pay attention. Did I do that? Absolutely not. It says, wake up, pay attention, look ahead, kind of see that there's other things going on the road, like me. I've got this red single right there. That should be the one that I passed because I'm pretty close to 7,000 AP, and we're about 5 miles away from our destination. I would have probably said 5,000 feet, so it's okay. So what we have to do is gingerly try to get this train to slow down, not like I did earlier, and press Q as we do it. And we want to try to get this train slowed down in a reasonable way where we can probably stop this train without going through that light up ahead in... Oh my god, we're just gonna have to slip through. We have no choice. We're gonna slip right through. This is not gonna be fun. Please tell me you're gonna stop 600 yards away. Please train. Please train, stop. Oh my god, we're gonna slide right through. I'm gonna end up doing this twice. This is gonna be stupid. Please stop, train. We're gonna go outside cam. We're gonna actually see what's really going on here. My wheels are grinding on the rails right there. I have to show you this, folks. Those things are sparking. I'm probably going to blaze through the light. Oh, thank goodness, it skipped down some. I have some time. This is good. I have 5 miles to try to slow this train down, and I'm just doomed, folks. So what's happened is my wheels have completely locked out. And the way to get out of that, by the way, just unlock your brakes, and your wheels will start to rotate again. As you can see, I've already unlocked my brakes here. And already the train has instantly stopped. Look at that. Isn't that the coolest thing ever? So that's all you have to do. Just, believe it or not, lock your brakes down and then unlock them. Who would have thought that having an ABS system would make sense? Alrighty folks, so I went ahead with camera 8. I was really curious what was holding me up. So apparently there was a network or turbo further down the line that's creating a bunch of red zone. Not just one, not just two, not just three, but a whole bunch of red zones. So just the fact that I was kind of slowly creeping up to speed, that's probably helping me more than anything else, because this was the red zone at one point, the next light was the red zone, and so on. Right now it's all going green thanks to... I saw that guy trying to walk on the line. Well, it's all going green thanks to the fact that that network or turbo kind of pulled itself out a little bit further. But as you can see here, we're about 2.7 miles away from Acton Yard, and I probably don't want to go much faster than 40 at this point because of how hard it is to stop in the snow, the fact that I've got 1,000 tons behind me, the fact that I've only got one engine pretty much slowing me down. This is not going to work at all if I'm going to be going at 75 something miles an hour. I'm not going to be able to stop anytime soon. I'm going to need the distance in order to stop this train. So even though I'm going like 26 miles an hour, these people, they love to stand on the yellow line. Look at them. They're just like being dangerous people. How many people do you know that do this? That guy with the suitcase is trying to board my freight car. That's just crazy. Oh, hello! Look at that. There's that other train we'll be driving around here pretty soon, one day in the future. Our single up ahead, this guy right here says we are going to be turning. There's your feather that says you're turning. It's nice and slow so we can finally see it for once. But you can also see up here that we've got some restricted speed coming up that says, hey, you better slow this train down because the little barber pole is saying, hey, watch your speed as you go into the yard and everything, and it's pretty accurate. However, it's coming up way late, and if you were already speeding into this by going 65, I do not know if you will stop on time. You might even pass this light of danger, which would be even worse than passing the light that I passed of danger earlier. So even, I saw that there, I don't know if you saw that there, but the speed limit to go over this way was actually 30 miles an hour. I'm not taking that risk. I'm not taking that chance. My stop's in 700 yards. We're not doing that. We're going to stop nice and easy, and we're going to take our time rolling into Acton Yard. I would rather be late to Acton Yard than early and find myself screwing my mission again. We're on the last 400 yards, and I'm just going to take this nice and slow. I'm just bumping the brakes on and off, just trying to get this down to like 10 miles an hour, and I'm just going to kind of coast it at around 10 miles an hour, and then I'm going to hope for the best that I can just glide my way down to 0 from that point. I don't want to have to lock out the brakes again. I might end up doing it. Yeah, there's a chance we're probably going to have to give a little gas. I hope not, but we're going to try our best to line this up really nicely with the little marker right here. We'll see how this goes, and let's see if we can do it. Oh my god, we're gonna probably pass it. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and slam my brakes. Let's put on the brakes all the way. Oh my god, that marker's gone way over there. Release my brakes, and there we go. We did it. Yay, thank goodness. Wow. Okay, well, I fixed this mission really nice. Even though I had to drive this train twice, I did pretty good. If you can kind of see there, my speed limit's kind of done its thing. Please like and subscribe and leave me comments. I do appreciate the fact that you guys are watching this and you guys are enjoying the videos, and I'm hoping I'm giving you some behind the scenes looks at things. The sheds are not the easiest train to drive. Ironically, the HSTs are meant to be harder, but the sheds feel like they're much more difficult to kind of manage because one engine, 20 cars is not the easiest thing to move around compared to one engine plus an engine in the back plus like a set of 6 cars, you know what I mean? So the next mission, we have the last of the shed introductory type mission, and then we go on to mainline driver, which will be chapter 4 after this last mission. We'll see how we do, but it looks like we got a platinum medal for today. So as usual, like, subscribe, leave me comments, and I will see you in the next one, folks. Bye, guys. This is like crazy interesting that I am not getting any of the AP score for this mission like I'm supposed to. This is insane. I might have to do this mission over again and just try to strive for a platinum medal. I don't understand what's happened and what's different. I mean, my safety systems are on in this train. You can obviously tell.